how next season will look when Barcelona have set up.
Pedri to Rodri.
Pedri to Rodri. Rodri to Frankie. Frankie to Gavi. Gavi to Karim. Karim to Lamine. Passes the ball back to Rodri. Rodri with the shot and it's a goal!
Hey!
Charlie!
Hey!
Rodri, Pedri. Pedri, Rodri. Rodri, Pedri. Charlie!
But that will happen if ACL no come.
Yeah, they can't talk because already one hit. Frankie de Jong hit. And I picked up something. No, let me pick it up when the discussions reach. I picked up something more in the commentary.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready. The Barcelona fans are buzzing. They say they've won the Champions League already. They are forgetting that there's a certain high line that will be in place. A high line so high that a certain Paul Kubasi may not be able to. Charlie, Barcelona say that they are winning the Champions League. Wadu is so excited. All the Barca fans I know are excited. Jesse is giving commentary in the studio.
Oh, Charlie.
And I want all of you to take note of this moment because come the end of the season, we will be here to mark.
The schools will be open.
Yes, I. But that is what we is going to kick off our conversation tonight. We are going to look into Barcelona. Do you want a change in the routine or do we start with Murphy as per usual?
He's our boss.
Okay.
These boys, they won't retire me. But I still this script.
Murphy, go.
Oh, yeah.
Murphy, go.
Oh, but was it last week or last 2 weeks? As we mentioned 2006. He said it was.
I was in SS2.
Yeah, I was in class 6. So you can imagine the gap.
Hey. You left like 2 hours before retire.
Anyway,
we'll start with Murphy. What's with this Barcelona bus?
If there is one thing we cannot run away from, then it is the fact that the signing of Rodri improves Barcelona significantly. It lifts the mood in the playing body and off the pitch as well because he's a proven winner, having won it all with Man City and with the Spanish national team as well. So it goes without saying that his signing is a breath of fresh air. But I think at this point in time, my statement is premised on this preamble. At this point in time, it will be a bit far-fetched for me to say his signing means automatically Barcelona are the team to beat in the Champions League. And here is why. I would speak about 2 or 3 issues here. One, what are the issues that have plagued Barcelona in the past? In the past 10-11 seasons that Barcelona have not won the Champions League, what has been that common denominator that has been their undoing? Does the signing of Rodri address that particular issue? 2, what is Rodri bringing to the Barcelona team? What problem is he addressing? So I will not go too far. Let's narrow ourselves to the last 2 seasons. In the season before last, Barcelona crashed out of the Champions League in the semi-final. We watched that game right here in studio. Acerbi and Fratesi were the nemesis of Barcelona on that day. Right. What caused Barcelona? I remember very well in that second, in fact, in the first leg, they conceded 2 very sloppy goals. I think from Denzel Dumfries. In the second leg, a 30, I'm not sure of the age, but I think it's in mid or late 30s, Acerbi bullied Araujo and scored. So in both 2 games, what was the common denominator? Defensive lapses. Last season, Barcelona crashed out of the Champions League at the quarter-final stage against Atletico Madrid. In the first leg, you spoke about the high line. Pau Kubasi was red-carded. Atleti had a numerical disadvantage, beat Barcelona 2-0 at the Camp Nou. In the return leg, Ferran Torres, who is no longer with Barcelona, and Yamal combined to score 2 goals. African brother from Nigeria, what's his name? Ademola Lookman scored what would be the goal that eventually kicks Barcelona out. In those 2 legs, first leg, Pau Kubasi was red-carded. In the second game, what was it? Eric Garcia was also red-carded. So if you've looked at these 2 seasons, there has been a common theme. Defensive frailties have come to be the undoing of the Barcelona team. Does the signing of Pedri single-handedly address that issue? No. You might say his signing would mean that Barcelona are able to control games more, they're able to recycle possession more, which may ultimately culminate in lesser pressure on the defense. But it still goes without saying that Barcelona would have to address that centre-back problem, which is still pending at this point. That's why I said at this point in time, maybe if they get a player who complements the intelligence and then the athleticism of Pau Kubasi, it improved them significantly and makes them stronger than they are at this point in time. We can also not speak about the fact that Lewandowski and Ferran Torres have departed the team. At this point in time, one would say Karim Adeyemi and Anthony Gordon have been brought on in their stead. We knew that Lewandowski and Ferran Torres guaranteed goals. They are departing with about 100 goals between them in the past 2-3 seasons, if not more. We are yet to know what to expect of Anthony Gordon and Karim Adeyemi. You understand? So I think there are two more problem areas Barcelona would have to address before they can lick their lips with glee and say that they are favorites for the Champions League. Facts. The signing of Pedri solves a significant issue in the middle of the pitch, but there are still problem areas. I've highlighted the fact that defensive frailties have become the undoing of Barcelona in the last two campaigns in the Champions League. That issue still persists. The departure of Lewandowski and Ferran Torres also leaves a gaping hole in front there. It's the reason they are in a relentless pursuit of Julian Alvarez. If they are able to get him on board, I'm surprised Barcelona did not push hard to get Cuti Romero. They watched on and let him join Atletico Madrid. If Barcelona were able to get Cuti Romero to partner Kubasi, it would have been a perfect blend of experience and youth, brawn and brain. Because you don't expect Cuti Romero to play the entire season. A combination of injuries and headless tackles would ensure that he would see a lot of time off the pitch. But he still would have improved them massively in the heart of defense. So if you ask me, the signing of Rodri does not single-handedly make Barcelona favorites. And I'm restricting that to this point in time where further signings in centre-back and in the forward ranks have not been made to complement the efforts of Pau Kubasi at the back and then to make up for the loss of Lewandowski and Ferran Torres. My 2 cents.
All right. Clearly, very, very solid points in there. But also, there's another school of thought that if Rodri comes into that Barca team, they even get to increase their possession stat. They keep the ball even more. So the mere fact is just logical that because they are keeping the ball more, the probability of them being caught out at the back reduces significantly. So even with the high line and with defenders that are not so pacey in getting back, there's always a huge gap between that high line and the goalkeeper. A lot of space to run into, but opponents may not necessarily be able to exploit that. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Osei?
It is true that the addition of Rodri is going to increase the average possession that Barcelona are going to get, which is already high, admittedly. It would probably be in, say, from the 70s average, 70, 75, if not higher than 75% on average. I won't be surprised with that. But I picked up one very, very interesting thing during Jesse's commentary. He was saying Pedri, Rodri. There was one detail that got me amused a little bit. He said what? And Rodri will shoot. He is the one to shoot and score.
But he has that in his repertoire.
Yes, that is true. 2023-2024 was his best goal scoring season. But the question is, this is where my point is. Murphy mentions that defense is the problem. I disagree. You don't need to. I mean, I would say I'm of the view that attack is the best defense. If you are going to keep possession, you can keep all the possession you want.
Do you remember their game with Inter Milan?
Yes.
What was the final score on aggregate?
7-6 on aggregate.
With all the attack,
yes,
one could have thought that the better defense might have qualified them to the Champions League final.
In that, looking at that game, I disagree. I think it was more of game management and more of let me say it without mincing words. Or should I say, some passages of play, a lack of experience cost them. Because there was one passage of play where I think the ball went out into touch. And instead of Pedri to go back into position, he was busily teasing the Inter fans. That famous picture, he stuck his tongue out while he was on the floor. Go back into position or something like that. He could have. And in fact, the dark arts, well, I'll not even say the dark art, at least game management. You are leading, it was 3-2 at the time. How do we say it, Paul? Manage the game. Do not go to. I felt it was too attacking. They were looking to get more goals as far as the Inter tie was concerned. Leadership is what is going to be very, very important. I'm very, very happy that they brought in Rodri. And it's very important because leadership.
Yeah, but my point with that reference to the Inter Milan match was that if you are saying that the best form of defense is to attack,
yes,
you can't always be on the front foot. When you talk about game management, it means that there are moments that you will defend. There are opponents who have equally sharp attacks that you have to defend against when those moments come. Yes. And you are reliant on a defense that is not totally trustworthy. There's still a problem.
No,
there.
but
you can't attack for 90 minutes.
There are different ways of game management. You can't be sitting deep, low block as a form of. That's not the Barcelona way.
Yeah, and that doesn't have to be the way. But when it's 6-6 or it's 6-5,
yes,
and like what we saw between Bayern Munich and PSG, when you are stuck in games like that, and when you look at the second leg, you could see straight away PSG corrected certain errors.
Yes,
PSG style is not to defend, but when it comes to defending to save your team or for momentarily, you need that tactic. Will Barcelona be found wanting? That's the question, and you can't. I don't think you solve that problem by attacking.
I mean, I still stand by. Look, if you can keep possession. If you are not going to score the requisite number of goals to go through, you are not going through. What do I mean by that? Let's look at the league phase. The higher you finish, generally, the easier the draw, right? And in order to finish, say, first, second, third, sometimes goal difference can come inside. Now, if you have, no disrespect, Adeyemi, what's his other name? Anthony Gordon, Abdel Karim Hamza, who is a very, very young and, I dare say, unproven player. This is the strike force that doesn't strike fear in the likes of PSG, in the likes of Arsenal, in the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. It doesn't. Fine, I'm just being realistic in the sense that Hansi Flick, I'm not sure is going to look at his defense and say, look, I'm trying to solve it or trying to tweak it. He's an idealistic coach. He's not going to lower the line. He's not going to do that. It's still going to be high line, same defense, same structure, everything.
And you don't think a defender with much more pace? I mean, because when you look at the gaps that they leave, I feel from the way I see things that the defense of Barcelona lack a bit of pace when it comes to dropping back. You understand? You are being hit on the counter.
I'm not saying they don't lack. I'm saying that they need an attacker more.
Okay.
They need to score their goals more because, and this is where I might be dropping a bomb. As it stands right now, I'm not even confident they will retain the La Liga with this strike force, let alone winning the Champions League. Because with this strike force, fine, they will create chances, but who is going to bury those chances out? Where is that efficient striker, cold-blooded striker to score those goals?
You know one thing that strikes me. I think a lot of people are judging Adeyemi and Anthony Gordon even when they haven't kicked the ball.
Yeah.
With the kind of system Barcelona play, believe you me, I've seen Marcus Rashford play for Barcelona last season. These guys will thrive. They will score the goals. Barcelona is going to be as free scoring as they were last season.
Eustace, let me come in 1 second before you continue. I think the statements we are making are hypothetical.
Yes.
We have not seen them. That is the point I made. We have not seen them, but at least with Lewandowski and Ferran Torres,
they are proven.
You were guaranteed goals. Right. We are yet to see how they would. Not all players are able to cut it.
Yes.
In the first few seasons at top clubs. So, that level of skepticism is there. You understand? Okay. So, you can carry on.
Okay, carry on.
You even mentioned it. There's that elephant in the room replacing Lewandowski. I'm not the I mean, Barca fans will be looking at the departure of Ferran Torres. I think a bigger loss is Lewandowski. Replacing the goals he scored. Like I said, was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? 15 plus goals a season, guaranteed in the La Liga alone. Done. To battle against Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. You got a Real Madrid with Mbappe, Vinicius, and Co. As it stands, I don't think Alvarez is leaving Atletico Madrid, so I'll count him into the rotation, the Atletico Madrid rotation, alongside Soloth, Ademola Lookman, and Co. If you are going to go against them with Anthony Gordon, who hasn't proven to be hitting double figures in all competitions or even in league play, Anthony Gordon, same. Abdel Karim might be, but he's a youngster. So much pressure on him. I mean, he can thrive under it like the likes of Lamine Yamal and Co. But there's so much pressure on him. Are you going to maintain this front line against the names I mentioned? And are you confident? This is a question to Barcelona fans, and this is a question to anybody who is listening. Are you confident with this front line to go into this season with or with? It doesn't even have to be an Alvarez. Somebody who is at an acceptable level. Somebody who can score the goals, bury the goals for you. I won't even say, it doesn't have to be that level, but it doesn't have to be too low. So all in all, I believe that attacking, scoring the goals should be the bigger issue to be addressed rather than the defense. The defense is, I feel it's quite fine. I mean, last season, didn't Juan Garcia win the Zamora Trophy?
Listen,
Yes.
you also
defense no fine like that.
you also
No,
made,
I'm not saying the defense fine or anything, right? I'm not saying the defense is perfect or the defense. Barca's defense is not 2015 to 2018 Juventus. No, it's not. But when I'm weighing the two, I'm looking at it from a point of view that the attack needs more, attention than the defense. Even though I stand corrected, it's my opinion.
you made a point also that that seemed to compare Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. Barcelona is not playing the league against just these two opponents. I looked at Rayo Vallecano, I looked at Getafe. I think they are playing some wonderful football at the moment.
No, but if you are looking at it in the grand scheme of things, I am saying the two Madrid teams are definitely going to be the closest challengers. In fact, Getafe, Rayo Vallecano. Look, I won't say rare, because we've seen the likes of Deportivo La Coruña in there, we've seen the likes of Celta Vigo in there, we've seen the likes of Valencia challenging, even most recently Girona. But how many times do teams like that make a sustained challenge? That is why I mentioned the two Madrid clubs. I'm not trying to denigrate or cast away or look at the other 16 teams as they are not, or like they're no reach or anything. I'm just being realistic.
Okay. We'll keep going around. Let me move to Jesse. And Jesse, obviously Barcelona will look to defend their La Liga. They'll look to go a step better in the Champions League. And you look at the players who've departed and the players who've come in on. Overall, you look at the balance of this team. Are they ready for the Champions League? And where do you think they need to reinforce?
Kwame said something. He said Flick is an idealistic coach.
Yes.
One of the characteristics of idealistic coaches is that they hardly sway away from what they believe in.
Yes.
Flick in Germany, after he was the technical director of German football, got the opportunity to coach the German national team. It was the high line. Flick in FC Bayern, where they were successful, they won the sextuple. It was the high line. Flick in FC Barcelona, looking at how toxic the Spanish media is, everybody is talking about the high line. Flick said that is not a problem. Last 3 seasons, where the defensive frailties were clear, Flick goes into the market and his first call was players like Anthony Gordon, Karim Adeyemi. It tells you the kind of coach that we are dealing with. Flick is a coach that believes so much in the high line system. And he believes that for the high line system to be very effective, the pressing structure needs to be very effective. That is why he got players like Karim Adeyemi and Anthony Gordon. When you look at the previous seasons, Lewandowski, past his prime, it got to a point in time, he wasn't used as the head of the press structure. He was used as a shadow striker, as a shadow presser, because he didn't have that energy to be able to start a press. Marcus Rashford, he wasn't up to the task. Rafinha was the heart of the press. And you can't take Lamine Yamal out because he has proven that he was that major creator of the attack. So Flick says, yes, there are defensive frailties. We were conceding because of the high line. But the problem to me is not the defensive line. It is the players or the personnel that complement whether the press structure is going to be successful or not. So he goes into the market and says, bring me Karim Adeyemi. Bring me Anthony Gordon. Let them complement the likes of Rafinha, Femi Lopez, and then Lamine Yamal, who are understanding how a coordinative press is supposed to work within these few seasons to come. And he brings these guys. It tells you the kind of coach that you are dealing with. He's not going to move away from his ideologies. He's first fixing the press structure because he believes that if the press structure is coordinated, Barcelona is not going to suffer a lot from the threats of the high line. Now, these guys played together. When you look at the Champions League, I mean, the league, Barcelona won it. You can bash them for the high line. You can bash them for the defensive issues. But they won the league. They've won the Copa del Rey under Hansi Flick. They've won the Super Cup under Hansi Flick. So you can confidently say that Barcelona, even with the high line, have been very successful in their local competitions or tournaments. However, the major problem has been on the Champions League. And when you check the trajectory of Hansi Flick in the Champions League, I think that what has brought him down are little details. Concentration, lack of proper experience in the team, and then the understanding of how to play at the very elite level because of the number of young talents in the midst. When you solve the issue of what a proper coordinated press is, what you need is a glue that connects your defensive line to your press line. And that is what Rodri brings to you. Someone might say, but you guys had Pedri, you were controlling. You had Frankie de Jong, you were controlling. You had all these guys, you were controlling. But what has been the profile of Rodri Cascante? Rodri was in Villarreal. During his period in Villarreal, he got coached by 3 different coaches. These 3 different coaches believed in diverse system when it comes to who a number 6 is. There are a lot of coaches and their definition of who a number 6 is.
Yeah.
To thrive under different kinds of coaches and how they view the position the number 6, it points out to me that you are a multi-dimensional number 6. He moved from Villarreal. He went to Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone himself. And we all know the kind of football that Diego Simeone plays. He won't give you that attacking flamboyance. He's more of a defensive kind of coach. To be a number 6 and thrive in that setup, again, it tells you the kind of player that you are dealing with. He moves from Atletico Madrid. He goes to Manchester City, coached by the gaffer himself, Pep Guardiola. Under Pep Guardiola, you have big shoes to fit in. Pep Guardiola himself was one of the major people that revolutionized the number 6 position. Under him came the likes of Sergio Busquets. So if you are going to work under Pep Guardiola, you need to understand that your technical ability should be very high to compensate the system that Pep Guardiola wants to work under. This guy worked in different systems under different 3 coaches in Villarreal. He adapted to a defensive style of play as a number 6 in Atletico Madrid. And then he adapted to a highly technical system under Pep Guardiola. It tells you the kind of player this is. A multi-dimensional number 6. He is that glue that Barcelona is looking for. You know, Rodri is not just a system fit. I feel the last thing we should talk about is whether Rodri is going to fit into a system. Because he has proven over time that he's a multi-dimensional player. He can fit into every single system. So when the conversation about is Rodri going to fit into the Real Madrid system, I think they wouldn't have gone for him in the first place if they knew he's not going to fit in. Now, after being under the tutelage of Pep Guardiola, Diego Simeone, and then the 3 coaches in Villarreal, I think he has learned a lot. And what does he add to that Barcelona midfield? I think first of all, pedigree. Barcelona is missing that pedigree. You can tell me Frankie de Jong is good. Pedri over the years has showed that. But we are talking about a Ballon d'Or winner. he has won everything you want to talk about in England. In the World Cup, just ended World Cup, he was the best player. In the just ended Euros, he was the best player. Leadership and pedigree. He injects that into the Barcelona midfield. And that is what Barcelona needs. You speak about defense. One of the major issues of Barcelona last season was defending transitions. When they have the ball and they lose it, how fast the teams are able to catch them on the counter, the manner at which they defend that was a major problem for them. I think Rodri solves that.
How exactly?
He understands how to stop transitions. His reading of the game and the direction at which he needs to move to stop the ball or to stop the transitional play of the opponent is very high. He's one of the players that have made us understand that you don't need a Makelele kind of physique to be able to stop transition. He has showed that he's that player that can scan and get to stop that transitional threat from any opponent. Rodri fits into this team. Another thing Rodri brings into this team is that organizational ability. Pedri is good. Frankie de Jong is good. But these guys are young crop of players that need a leader. They got it in Gundogan. Gundogan wasn't patient enough to be able to tutor these guys. I quite remember Barca had a match and then they couldn't organize that midfield so well that Gundogan had to do an interview after and blast the team that this thing didn't go well for us. Rodri brings that leadership.
I think that was the.
It was an El
PSG.
Clasico. No, it was an El Clasico too. He did it on two different occasions. He was displeased to the extent that he had to come out to the media and say that no, this is not the way to go. I think that over the years, Rodri has proven that I am a leader that can anchor that kind of midfield. Someone might also say that what happens to the likes of Gavi, Marc Bernal, Frankie de Jong? Frankie de Jong is injured. But then I think players like Marc Bernal should look at it from this point of view. Then we finally have a mentor. You know, when teams are entering into a transitional phase, one of the things that they do is that the transition need to come with models that they learn from. I think Frankie de Jong has done exceptional. When you look at Frankie de Jong in Ajax, his original position was not an out-and-out number 6. He was a number 8. Yeah. He had to adapt to the number 6 position in FC Barcelona. And then I think he has been incredible. Certain times, Gavi adapting the number 6. Certain times, we had Marc Bernal, who I thought has been excellent and is stealing that Sergio Busquets lane, Pep Guardiola lane. But I believe that to be very successful, you need to learn under somebody. These guys have not gotten that opportunity. He brings that too. So instead of seeing it like blocking our chances from shining in the team, they should see it like we have someone that we can model in that number 6 position. If you look at what Marc Bernal has shown over the years, the prospect is big. Last week I spoke about the potential peak differential. He has showed us that he has the potential. Is he going to get into his peak? What are some of the variables that is going to inform him to get to his peak? He needs a model in the team. And Rodri is one of the perfect people that this Marc Bernal, Gavi can learn from. And who else? We need a squad depth. Looking at the demanding nature of the games these days, you don't just go into a team looking for a proper first 11. You need squad depth. Frankie, Fermin, Gavi, name them. Ebrima Tunkara now, who's doing very well. I think that he's the future of that Barcelona midfield. He's the future. And I think Manchester United, if they are serious, they can come and see Barcelona for someone. Casado will give you Casado.
Are you serious?
Oh, you don't like Casado? Why you not get DM?
But Casado.
You Casado. Casado could work out in that Manchester United.
Oh,
team.
okay. See,
all agenda aside.
No. See, all agenda aside. Simple. Swap the one so bad Zegzi. You need a striker.
Zegzi.
Yeah.
No.
But what? Casado, man, you really?
No.
Anyway.
So
carry on.
As I was saying, Rodri is a perfect fit to the Barcelona team. And I don't think that it's now that we are going to go into the tactical aspect of it, how he's a fit. And then one advantage of the Rodri deal is that Manchester City has benefited a lot from that Rodri deal. They've gotten the profit. They've gotten the value for their money.
Yes.
And then they've gotten profit from selling him to Barcelona also. Rodri has won them everything. This is value for money. And in addition, they got profit from selling him to Barcelona. This is proper business that Rodri has gone through. Now, let's look at Hansi Flick.
No, before we move to Hansi Flick, Rodri is 30.
Yes, 30.
Yeah, and just a couple of seasons ago, he was on the
treatment table.
the treatment table
Yeah.
with an
With that
ACL.
ACL.
Are you not worried?
Yeah,
Because if everything is modeled around him and he gets injured, I'm not wishing that, but it's a probability scenario we are looking at. Because injuries is a long season,
Yeah.
and with the number of matches they play these days, he's just coming off the World Cup. At 30 years old, you'd expect that maybe he'll be out sometime or two. But when that happens, and he's so pivotal in the grand scheme of things, like you're saying, what happens to the team?
I think that is one of my major fears.
Okay.
But I don't think the system is going to be revolved around a Rodri. Rodri's inclusion in Barcelona is an upgrade. It's not a change of system to suit his style of play. He fits into a system that was already working. So Rodri's inclusion is just coming to complement the system that has already been working. Just that he's an upgrade because he injects pedigree and leadership. Before Rodri, we were controlling our defense. In the La Liga, we will pin 90% of teams down. In the Champions League, the group phase, we will pin 90% of teams down because we have control. Rodri gives us extra control. And then the little details that Barcelona misses in Champions League, Rodri addresses that in Champions League. And unfortunately for us, Frankie de Jong is injured. So it comes at a proper time.
Did you say fortunately?
Wait, did he say fortunately?
Unfortunately for us, Frankie de Jong is injured. I think this is the perfect time for Rodri to come. Frankie de Jong will be out for, I think, 5 months. That's a lot. So till then, we can have Rodri, and then we hope, and then we are not just hoping. Me together with my Barcelona fans, we are praying.
You are fortifying him
The
spiritually.
traditionalists are praying. The Muslims, the Christians, we are praying.
Langa Belbesia, if you are a Christian, Chris.
So if you wake up in the morning, you are doing Alpha, and you see that someone has typed, and we pray for the fortification of Rodri. Be me. So as I was saying, that is the major problem: his availability.
Yeah.
Because after an ACL, when you look at the demanding nature of Hansi Flick's system,
Yes.
he needs to be managed.
Yes.
Especially after an ACL, you don't want a relapse. So he needs to be managed. Personally, from my point of view, I feel that Rodri's addition will be more beneficial to Barcelona in the Champions League. If that is the case, let us maximize his minutes in the Champions League and minimize his minutes in the La Liga. If Hansi Flick will listen to me.
Okay, so I think you make very, very valid points. Murphy, it looks like you had something to say when he was speaking about the fact that the whole structure was. But I think Jesse made a very solid point about the fact that I was saying that when Rodri comes in, they upgrade in even their possession stats.
Yeah.
He also added the fact that they are able to press with the kind of players. But come to think of it, yes, that's why he got Anthony Gordon. Probably not for his goal scoring prowess, but the fact that he will cause a lot of mistakes from opponents. The way he's able to press, I think he may also see him, and I think it really puts the opposition on the back foot, and that's what they aim to do: keep you on the back foot for as long as possible. My worry only is that in the Champions League, you meet teams that are so good at beating the press. They are so good at beating the press. They will be able to transition. There are teams that don't require the midfield. There are teams that go very, very directly with long balls. You come across all this in the Champions League, and that is why I felt that I think the defense needed some tune-up. But, I mean, he's made some very solid points. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, he has. But, one thing is still very there for us to see. Very clear for us to see. And that is the fact that pressing is good. But it is not that which will eventually win you the games.
Yeah.
You would have to put the ball
In the back of
at
the
the
net.
back of the net. What is the aim of pressing? To possess the opponent in a very dangerous area. And what is the end game?
Win the ball and
then
score.
That is what we are not sure yet. I am not saying they are not able to do that. But at this point in time, Adeyemi and Gordon are yet to prove themselves. So that position is not one that it should not even be up for debate. Filling that centre forward position or getting, I'm sure they would play Anthony Gordon through the middle if they eventually do not get a striker. But that is not a strong. If he's at the heart of the press, he will expend so much energy trying to win the ball. By the time he gets the ball, I remember is it Vergos at United during
I don't want to hear that name.
the halftime challenge, nigga go press, I go get the ball in the entire. But I think the fact remains that in as much as Adeyemi and Gordon address very seminal issues in the Barcelona team, it goes without saying that they will need to get some people to bang in the goals for them. If in addition to the press, they will be able to add goals. And one thing Barcelona should not forget about also is the fact that Rafinha is not going to play the entire season. I'm not being a prophet of doom, but if we are looking at the patterns that have run through their last two campaigns, Rafinha tends to spend quite a chunk of the season on the sidelines. You understand? Even in the World Cup, Charlie, we had to bring them on home. Went to Miami.
So you think they need an extra attacker
it goes without saying.
before the window
It goes
closes?
without saying.
Okay.
I think that gives them an extra dimension.